Right, thank you, Martin. Well, the reason I've chosen this hymn, In Christ Alone, is, I think, fairly unusual. So I just want to explain the circumstances. About a year ago, I went to Israel on a pilgrimage, and one of the places we called that was the Bethlehem Bible College, where Palestinian Christians are taught to be, they're trained to be pastors and preachers in the Palestinian churches, those that remain in the West Bank of Israel, and places like Bethlehem itself, Gaza, Nazareth, places like that, Hebron. But of course the number of Palestinian Christians is diminishing very rapidly. The Muslims have more or less taken over the town of Bethlehem, and they are suffering very greatly, these Palestinian Christians, but they're lovely people, as I hope you'll hear from what I've got to say. So all this arose because I do support the Bethlehem Bible College and what they're doing, and I had reason to ask them to sort of just update their database because they got one or two bits and pieces not quite right. And eventually I got a reply. It didn't come at first, but this is the reply I got from somebody I've never met before. Dear Michael, I have made the changes you asked for on our database. I apologise for the late reply, blah, 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 blah. This was last November. I'm also sorry to hear about your wife. May her soul rest in peace as she is with the Lord. Thanks for keeping us updated, and may God bless you always. And she finishes up, in Christ alone, Flora Al-Cassis. That's a lovely name, isn't it? But I've never come across an email which finishes up one Christian to another, in Christ alone. I mean, when I send an email, I might finish up, God bless you, or in his service or something like that, but never in Christ alone. And I assumed it was all to do with this hymn. So I was intrigued by this, and I wrote back to her, and I said, Dear Flora, no apologies necessary. Thank you for your very kind words concerning my wife. She died 18 months ago, and we were married for 53 years. Thank you especially for your last prayer for me in Christ alone. I was really touched by that. I recognise the words from that lovely hymn which I guess we both sing, but I've never received any closing blessing from anyone else which uses exactly those words. So I do thank you most sincerely, and I'm very grateful to you for that. And I put a PS. I come from a totally secular Jewish family here in England. I am the only one who has come to Christ when I was 63. I would love to know your background and how you came to Christ alone, but only if you feel comfortable with that. And she took me up on that, and she said, I should love to share my background. I come from a traditional Christian family with a generation of priests as ancestors. I thought that was quite interesting. I used to go to an Orthodox church, this is in Bethlehem, when I was young, but after growing up a little, I discovered that I'm not getting anything from it. And notice this is perfect English she speaks, and this is only her second language. And of course, I'm not growing spiritually in any way. However, I've generally known about the Lord since I was a kid, and wanted to know more, but no one to tell me or answer my questions. And it wasn't until almost 4 years ago when I joined the Bethlehem Bible Choir and started to be surrounded by real Christians, and then to later become really good friends with one of the choir members who started telling me more about Jesus and took me to his church a few times. And that was when I heard a real sermon for the first time, where you feel like God is trying to reach you through it. It was something different. So later I took the decision, despite the objections of my parents, and started going to an evangelical church where I met Jesus for the first time. But she finishes up, honestly, I'm not sure about the hymn, so please send me a link or anything so I can listen to it. So obviously she'd never heard of this hymn before, and I couldn't believe this. So anyway, we did manage to get it to her through YouTube, and she played it and came back to me afterwards and said she thought it was very, very beautiful. And because she joined this choir, she said that she was so taken with this hymn that she was going to tell her choir master to put it on their repertoire, to practice it and perfect it. And they go on tours, and hopefully, if this comes about, this will be one of the hymns that they sing when hopefully they come as a choir to London this summer. So I thought that was remarkable, really. So what else? I think that's about it, really. Just a second. Yes, I did ask for permission for me to be able to quote from the emails she'd written to me, and she was quite happy for me to do that. She did say something about the fact that, oh, here we are, yes. That's right, she was talking about when she remarked on the fact that I said that I'd become a Christian at the age of 63, and she said, I'm very sorry it took you so long in your old age. And if you're listening now, Flora, that was 19 years ago. So anyway, that's really the background to this whole thing. And so I would love everybody to think about the plight of the Palestinian Christians in particular, because they sound lovely, lovely people. If she's anything to go by, she's only a young lady, only about 27, I gather. But she's obviously a deeply spiritual lady and a very deep Christian, and they're having a really hard time there. And that was the message she put across right at the end. Please try and convince people, convey the plight of the Palestinian Christians in Bethlehem and in the West Bank generally. They're suffering very, very badly. The wall surrounds the town of Bethlehem, you know, the Western Wall, and I know it's there to protect Israel from terrorists, but 99.5% of the people are perfectly innocent people. They have no thoughts whatsoever. They just cannot get a job. They have to have special permission to go out of Bethlehem to work in Jerusalem, which is only about 8 miles away. They have to get special permission. They can't even go to the seaside whenever they want to. It's as bad as that. So they're having a really tough time, and that's why they're leaving Palestinian in droves, really. It's very, very sad. So, please give it your best. And Flora, one day I hope to catch up with you and tell you off about my age. God bless. Thank you.
It's on the back page then. Let's stand and sing.
In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. This cornerstone, this solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are still, when striving cease, my comforter, my only all, here in the love of Christ I stand. In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God in helpless faith, this gift of love and righteousness, strong by the ones he came to save. Till on that cross, as Jesus died, the wrath of God was satisfied. For every sin on him was laid. Here in the death of Christ I live. There in the ground his body lay, light of the world by darkness slain. Then bursting forth in glorious day, up from the grave he rose again. And as he stands in victory, sin's curse has lost its grip on me. For I am his, and he is mine, bought with the precious blood of Christ. No guilt in life, no fear